What's up, YouTube? Hope everything is well with you guys. Today I have an amazing guest. Maybe you guys are not aware looking at the screen the person I'm talking about, but I'm talking about Nick, in Instagram known as Nils. Amazing pre-modern collector, amazing also vintage collector. I think those are the both markets that Nick like to engage more. And I will pass my word to you, Nick. Automatic. Share something with my viewers that may are not aware of you. You are a very active member on my Discord. I think on Instagram you are always also posting stuff. So maybe there is people that already know you, but for the ones that may not know, share some words.
Sure. Well, thanks, Andre. Pleasure to be here. Definitely excited for our conversation. We chit chat in the DMs and on your Discord quite a bit. So I'm excited to have a little bit of lengthier chat with you. As you said, NILLS1010 on Instagram. That's really my soccer page on the Discord, your Discord, also the Vintage Card Discord. Spend a lot of time there. I try to be as active as I can. You had mentioned prior to going live, want to make sure what my real name was, Nick. Everyone sort of goes by Nils, but it is Nick. Interesting story on that is I'm actually a big Buffalo Bills fan in the NFL, so I combined Nick, Bills, and that's where we get the Nils. So that's an exclusive for the Soccer Study podcast. So we're Nils.
Thank you.
But yeah, similar story to a lot of people collected when I was younger. Faded away through my 20s and in college and that not. And then during the pandemic, was working from home. Also at the same time had my first son and had 6 months paternity leave. Luckily was able to spend time at home, and during that time a lot of holding the babies, a lot of late nights. So I came across cards on eBay and saw what was going on and really dove into the basketball market first, which in hindsight I did well with that. I've sold I think every basketball card that I've had, but knowing what I know now, just that maybe 3 or 4 months extra into the soccer market would have really gone a long way. But I still can't complain. I'm still in it relatively early, and it's been a great part of my life. Honestly, it's been a great distraction. It's been a nice addition for me. With I have 2 young kids at home now, so I'm not going out with the guys, and I'm not golfing as much and things of that nature. So, spending more time at home and, still same thing, grinding on eBay when I'm holding a baby and when they wake up in the middle of the night and, putting them down for naps and things like that. So, I'm on a lot, but it's 5 minutes here, 5 minutes there. But it's been a great thing for me. And, I think probably most people, if they follow me or have communicated with me on the Discord, they know that I'm a Zidane collector or a French collector. So I wanted to support the vintage French kit, and I'll just tell the quick story of why I'm a big Zidane guy. Is I was lucky enough to go. I'm from the U.S. I was lucky enough to go to France in 1998. In April of 1998, so a couple months before the World Cup. So I got this jersey there leading up, decided that was going to be sort of my team to support. Then of course they win, Zidane becomes a legend after that performance, really.
Yeah.
And the rest is history. I followed his career, and also just that whole team has just became special for me. So that's a little bit of how I got here, I guess.
No, amazing. I say this to you, to Andres. I think people like you and Andres, you guys motivate me to be honest, because you guys focus in one player, in one area. For example, you love French stickers, French cards. I think that's fascinating. I'm actually a little bit over the place. I'm not exactly like you or even Andres, for example, but I admire that you guys can stay so focused on certain areas of the market. I think that's collecting is about that in the end, and I think it's great. I mean, it's a pleasure to like I said to have with me. I think this will be a great conversation, and I invite all my viewers watching this right now to check your Instagram, to give you a follow. You, for me at least, you are a big important person on my Discord, because you are always trying to push debate, and I think in the end that's what that's Discords are for, that is to debate things, to try to push critical thinking. I know you are aware of how the podcast works, so you have 5 questions for me and I have 5 questions for you. I will start with one, then we go back and forth with the questions. Okay?
Sure, let's do it.
So question number 1 for you, and you, to be fair, you already ended up talking a little bit about this, but I know you love to collect French releases, French stickers, French cards, etc. In a few words, define why you love French cards so much, or French cards and stickers, the same thing.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I touched on why I sort of fell in love with that French team and Zidane and Henry and so many legends from that squad. But when I started getting into collecting, first person I thought of was Zidane, and I didn't know anything. So I'm researching, I'm looking, I'm trying to pick the brain of people who have more experience, which is that all came from the Discord. So meeting those people and getting that information, I was starting from ground zero, and through that, what I really learned is that, for one, the Zidane rookie is highly considered one of the top cards in the soccer card hobby. It's respected by really collectors in all eras. It's just widely known. It's beautiful. So I mean, that right there automatically, right from the beginning, became my Grail. I need to get one of those. And as I started to dive into it a little deeper and look into the French foot stickers, I just realized they're not easy. They really are not easy. Way harder compared to like a Panini Calciatore type of sticker. A lot of the English stickers, a lot of the stickers from Spain, just much harder to acquire, and I'm still trying to figure out why. It's one of those things that it doesn't necessarily make sense, because France is a pretty large country, and whether it's they don't have the collecting history or whatnot. But and I know this was supposed to be a short answer, but I guess
no problem.
It wasn't really a quick answer to this, and we can touch back on it, I guess, a little more. But I like the team, like Zidane, and then when I realized there was rarity to it, it just made sense, and then I just went all in.
No, yeah, and I mean, you collect way more than Zidane. You collect Henry, I believe Copa, right? He recently started collecting a lot of him, and it's an amazing collection. Like I was saying a couple of minutes ago, you have almost every Zidane card in the book. So again, I think it's great, and this, to be fair, and you are aware of this, my channel focus a little bit more in pre-modern, and most people will love to see what you've been collecting on the French side, Zidane, etc. And like you said, and I also don't like to go very long on this, because we go back to this later. You are correct. I mean, Panini foot, now talking specific more about Panini foot is more difficult to find than Panini Este, Merlin stickers, and I'll always have been that way. And sometimes I think could be awareness, but in the other hand, if you look at the Camavinga sticker, if you look at the Mbappe sticker, well, the awareness is there because there is a lot of those in the market, but maybe there is actually, and we are speculating, of course, but maybe there is actually some type of strong rarity around the pre-modern stickers, because even the Benzema, for example, the Panini Foot, you find way more easy. Henry, not the case. Zidane, not the case. So it's actually something interesting. Does not make a lot of sense sometimes when you pause to think about that, but it is honestly something that I believe is the case. So shoot me your question.
Okay, are you ready? All right. You want a hard question first, or should we start with a little easy one?
Start with the most difficult one.
So as you know, I recently completed doing the entire team of the 1998 French World Cup spot. I got all their rookies for every member, bench included. If you were to do the same thing, what country from what World Cup winner would you pick?
Honestly, I think your choice is very good. That will be one of my top choices also, because I'm also a huge fan of Zidane, Henry, etc. So, but I don't want to give the same answer. but I think it's honestly a great choice. I guess I never told this story, but the France 98 is one of the first teams that I remember, I would say very well. 94, I don't remember that well, but 98 actually remember. And Zidane was a monster. I remember every time Portugal played against France, Zidane always destroyed us. So I always kind of not like it, but admire that team, because I knew how good they end up being. But I would go for the easiest, the second easiest one, Brazil 2002, because I also remember that World Cup very well. And I mean, if you want to talk about legends, I mean, come on. I mean, it's just crazy, because you have probably the best right back defender ever on Cafu, maybe the best left defender on Roberto Carlos. Then you have Rivaldo, one of the best tens in the pre-modern era. Ronaldo, I mean, Ronaldo, we don't even need to talk about that guy. Then Ronaldinho already appearing. Even Kaká was already on the team.
Kaká was on the roster, so that would count, yeah.
So, I mean, it's just a crazy team to think about, and that probably will be my choice. I think that was a great team.
Awesome, good answer.
So question number one for you, and I'll always do this to my viewers. Buy one, to my viewers, no, to the guests on the podcast. Buy one, sell one, hold one. Zidane, Ronaldo, and Henry. And a quick explanation. By the way, in terms, actually, let's make this a little bit more difficult, because you can say in terms of collecting, in terms of investing. Let's go with investing to make this a little bit more fun.
Investing, I would say buy Zidane, hold Ronaldo, sell Henry.
Okay.
Quick answer is I think and Zidane and Ronaldo could be flip-flopped. I do think out of those three, Henry is the clear sell. I think he had a bit of a rise, in comparison to the other two that might not have been necessarily warranted, and his prices are still solid. So I still think it would be a right time to sell if you got in early on those. Ronaldo, he's just not getting the love, which I think he will eventually. And then Zidane, gets the love, but I do think, once more people get in and really break it down. I mean, we have this discussion all the time. I mean, he's right there in that top 5, definitely top 10 of all time. No debate. I don't think for a lot of people. And in our demographics, more entrants that come in, I think he's going to be a player that stick out, and he has one rookie.
Exactly.
And that's a huge point.
I think you are spot on. I also would go with that. I would go with by Zidane. And your last point is the most important one for me. Just one rookie. So there is no competition. You need to find a Panini Foot 92. Ronaldo gets a little bit more tricky, because some people like Del Mundo Deportivo, other people like the football. There is another rookie right now. There is even a postal card right now. So you have more choices. And I also put Henry last because in terms of greatness, I think Ronaldo and Zidane are quite ahead of him. That being said, and a lot of viewers know this, I think Premier League legends can potentially have a premium in the future, because I think the United Kingdom is a big part of the market right now. So, and even if you think about countries like China, etc., they love the Premier League. So there is something to explore on that front. But I completely agree with you. Not that matters, since this is your question, but I agree with you.
Yeah. Now, next question. All right. So I give you $20,000 today.
That's a lot of money.
A lot of money. One card. What do you pick?
Okay, I will. I'm not sure if you like my answer.
The card and the grade, or you can say the card and the highest grade, or whatever, however you want to answer it. But you get $20,000, one card.
Okay, so I believe there is on PLCC and also on eBay, but I'm not sure. But at least in one of those, I believe there is 58 Americana Pelé PSA 1, and is listed for 30K, which you can say is not enough, but the guy have best offer open. So I'm assuming that maybe 20K works. If that's the case, I would love to acquire the Americana Pelé. I think honestly is the Pelé I probably like the most. I also love the 57s that Al owns, but those are so difficult that I don't even think American is also crazy difficult. It's not like that is very common, but I would try one of those. I think Pelé is not a player that I really want to collect that much, but I would love to have such an important card for him like the Americana. And not very related with the question, but I think there is something to be said in the future about the rookie being from the player's country. I know people love what is the name? I forgot. The Alifa Bologet, and he is a great card, of course, but I honestly do not like that card is from Sweden. I don't know. Actually, I like the Americana quite more if I had to choose one.
I'm with you completely, and I think that would be the one that I chose as well. And I think low grades I could see in the future that being more valuable than the Alifa. A PSA 1 for a PSA 1. It already is, but I think that will even increase going forward just because of the rarity compared to the Alifa.
Think about this. I know. I mean, the Alifa is still a very difficult card to find, but I know I would say maybe 4 or 5 guys with that card. American is way more. I think it gives a sense that it's way more difficult to find. Actually, I will expand this answer when we go back, because I think it's fun to have this type of conversation. Even, for example, ultra modern. Are you buying something or not? So yeah.
Great.
My question for you, question number 3 in this case. When I say undervalued or underappreciated, but let's go undervalued, what is the first player that comes to your mind? Don't think a lot. Shoot a name.
Ronaldo.
The Brazilian one, right? Yeah. I agree.
Yeah, it's just doesn't make sense. And I know, again, we talk about this all the time. The multiple rookies, the new rookie coming out of Brazil sort of throws another kink in it. But the player he was and the absolute star legend during that era, our era, that just speaks volumes. And he's not, one thing that hurts him, he's not super relevant. He's not, in the news a lot. He's not, he's not broadcasting like Thierry Henry, and he's not coaching. And but like the player, I mean, he was just a beast.
Oh, but Nils, is actually a lot in the news. You are not correct on that, but is not in the news that are relevant for us. That's the thing, because
Sure.
since I speak Portuguese, I actually watch a couple of podcasts with him, and I believe he actually have a podcast with a Twitch streamer right now. Don't quote me on this; I could be wrong, but I think it's the case. But yeah, you are correct. I mean,
Well,
Thierry Henry speaks English, so automatic gains more relevance in terms of news.
yeah, well, and that's a good point, because obviously, I'm coming from an American view, and the news that I see and what's on my feed, and when I'm watching the Premier League on NBC, and things like that, you have different access, different coverage on that type of stuff, and especially if you speak Portuguese,
Yeah.
I could see where he's definitely more relevant for there, but yeah, definitely easy answer, Ronaldo, first one comes to my head.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, is your turn.
Okay, so all things equal, dollar amounts, distance, time you have available, would you rather go to the national or a Champions League final?
The national, for one reason. I mean, I feel like with this YouTube channel, I end up knowing a lot of people online. And if I go to the national, I expect that I will meet a lot of people. The Champions League final will also be amazing. But meeting people that I've been talking for more than 1-2 years at this point would be special for me. So
Yeah, I was thinking about this, 2 years ago, I would have given anything for the Champions League final, and now I think I'd have the same answers as you. It's just, and it's not because I think I'm gonna sell a lot of cards or make some great trades. It would be, mostly about the people.
yeah, I mean,
Connections
this
that we've been
I,
able to make. Yeah.
I'm not going to the national this year, but I have hope to go next year, and I have no hopes in the sense that I will improve my collection a lot. From what I know, pre-modern and vintage is not even that prevalent on those shows. I will go more to meet guys like you, like Andres, Al, if that's the case, and a lot of people on the Discord. So yeah. Question number 4. You have a beautiful collection, and I'm sure that you own a lot of cars that you, when you started, and I guess the Panini Food Zidane is a good example, you end up dreaming. Those are kind of my holy grails. But as a collector, that there is always bigger goals, bigger goals, bigger goals. What is the holy grail card that you think is missing in your collection? Not talking about the card that you feel like the 57 Pelé, that, okay, but it will be so difficult. Something that you feel is obtainable, but you are working to get to the point to buy that card.
Easy answer on that one as well. The Zidane 92-foot PSA 9. So there's no PSA 10s. There's 6 PSA 9s. And one recently sold for $24,000. $24,000 is a ton of money, right?
Yeah, but was low if you compare with the last one.
From where the previous sale was, and who knows if another one came, where it stands, but at that range, it's within striking distance for me. It's within, consolidating, some of my bigger pieces. So that's a focus of mine right now is, I think, I don't see a 10 coming. I just, I think most of the good ones have been picked through and graded. I think you'll see a lot of mid grades, not a lot, but most grades that come through will be mid grades to low grades. And I think the 8s and 9s will stand, strong and long for the next 10, 20 years or forever. So PSA 9, Zidane.
Do you know if there is a BGS 9.5?
I don't, because I wouldn't touch it.
Okay.
And in all fairness, not necessarily because of value or I thought it was fake or anything like that, but I am very against stickers in particular and BGS slabs. because everyone that I've had, I've seen a bit of waviness in
Mm,
there,
okay.
and um, I just it's turned me off a little bit on the stickers.
No, I
But
understand.
I don't know. I don't look at that pop. To be
Yeah,
fair.
I also don't know that. That's why I was asking. Yeah. So yeah, it's your
Okay.
turn.
All right. So there's we've somewhat we're talking about a lot of the same players over and over again, but we both we both collect and follow and know a lot about these players. So if you had to choose one, and I'll give you the parameters here. It's gonna be top grade, um, and you know, you could do hypothetical top grade of PSA 10, PSA 10, or you could do, you know, what the top grade is now. But for alternative rookie, the Thierry Henry Russian, Majores de Equipes Europa, or the R9 El Mundo Deportivo. So long term, which one do you like better, with everything that you know about those stickers currently?
Okay, actually, I have to say one thing. I kind of feel bad about all the situation with the El Mundo Deportivo because I made a video about that card 1 year ago, and I was actually rewatching that video, and I felt that I was a little bit out of place in a couple of takes. At the time, I was very focused on this license versus non-license, and I ended up going against that sticker for almost no particular reason. To be fair, but I even said this on the video. I think he's an important sticker for Ronaldo, and it's great that he's the first sticker with the Brazil jersey. So because of that, I would go for the El Mundo Deportivo. Again, it's not that I think the Russian version is great for Thierry Henry. I think is actually quite difficult to find. I mean, we have been talking about this. Maybe more will appear, but there is nothing. I mean, I'm not seeing them appearing on the market. So seems like there is some type of strong rarity. Maybe probably even more than the Ronaldo, because even in Spain, sometimes I see people selling the page with all the cards for the El Mundo Deportivo. But I just put Ronaldo much ahead of Henry. You know, I cannot I love Henry. I think Henry was one of the best players in the pre-modern era. But Ronaldo, for me, is not one of the best players in the pre-modern era. He's one of the best players ever. You know, I think Henry goes with Di Stefan, with Zidane, even with Cruyff fighting for the top 5, top 6, and I do not put Henry on that. So because of that, and even if you give me a top grade, I would go for the El Mundo Deportivo. But I actually would say one thing. The El Mundo Deportivo, in terms of grading, is a little bit over the place in my perspective, because I honestly, and this is not nothing against PSI, but sometimes I don't understand why one is a 2, the other is a 6. I look at the 6, looks almost as a 2. In the end, everything gets that not perfect. So scares me a little bit to pay a premium for condition rarity on that sticker, since I believe all of them are quite similar. I guess centering could be different, of course, but yeah, that's something that I think is also important to take a note. That sticker, if you show me PSA 5 or PSA 4, not saying it's the same thing, because I know the market pays more for the 5, 6, etc. But for me, I would not pay a huge premium, basically.
Yeah. I think I remember a year ago, we probably had a debate or two about the El Mundo Deportivo R9. So, but it's, for me, it's much closer. And I mean, I just said R9's the most undervalued person, right? He's a legend. He's one of the best players of our generation. From what I've seen, and again, we're talking 2 years of experience, but I look, you know, I follow, I communicate, with a lot of people who have been in a long time, and it really seems that the Henry is much rarer than the R9.
I
Um,
agree. I
and
agree.
and I mean, pops are showing in. I think last time I looked, it was 8 maybe for the Henry and 60, for for the R9. So I mean, we're talking 6 times more. Could that change? Yeah, but I don't think it's gonna get really close. I think it's gonna be quite a bit rarer. And from that standpoint, for me, rarity, really almost trumps everything.
Yeah,
Um,
is the most important fundamental. I would agree with that also.
so
And Niels,
it's so close, and that's where for me it was hard. I had a feeling you probably would say R9, but yeah.
but let me say just one thing. I sold 2 Russian versions in the past, and these probably the cars I regret selling the most, because I also had the feeling, okay, I moved now, then I entered the market back, but it's not getting easy. So I kind of regret selling. I have one at PSA in a bulk submission that I'm still waiting, and I doubt that I will sell that one, because again, I'm not finding Ross, so I cannot keep this flipping because it is not possible anymore for that card. At least I don't feel it's possible right now. Maybe in the future, who knows? But another interesting point, Niels, will be that with this situation, Russia versus Ukraine, probably the relation between Europe and Russia and even America will be tough for the next couple of years. So taking things out of Russia, I believe, will be even more difficult. So that's even another, not a great thing for the world, of course, but is a great thing for the Russian version, the Mejores Equipos de Europa.
Yeah, and I've noticed that and I don't know if it's, just personal circumstances or, some type of regulations or changes within policies, but a couple of the eBay sellers that I bought a lot of Russian items from have not listed anything for sale in months. So
Yeah.
hopefully it's everything's okay with them, but yeah, I do think that there's a potential impact of that drying up even more with everything that's going on, at least in the short term.
Great.
But yeah, awesome.
Hey guys, just a quick pause on the video. This conversation with Niels was great. Niels knows a lot about the French market, which in my perspective is a key market for the pre-modern era. So I think you guys should follow him on Instagram, being real, because you can actually learn a lot. And if you can leave a like to this video, that will be also quite amazing, and is honestly one of the best ways to show support on YouTube. For you, it's super easy, but for me as a content creator, that can actually means a lot and also helps a lot. Another thing, I have a Discord community that have more than 500 members. I'm trying to grow that community to basically, I think it's important to have people together that can learn and share, and that will benefit all of us. It's totally free to join, so I will leave the link below the video on the description. So consider to join the Discord. Again, you can learn a lot there, and you can also share information with other collectors. So another thing, and this will be the last thing, I have a Patreon community where I put exclusive content every week. I'm talking about Wednesday a Q&A, and on Saturday a extra audio. Anyone joining the Patreon will be able to ask me questions about the market, does not matter, to be fair, as long as the topic is the soccer card market, the soccer sticker market. So in the last couple of months, I ended up answering more than 300 questions. I will leave also the link below the video. I believe it depends from country to country, but is around $10. Don't feel pressure to join, but if you want to support my work and of course have exclusive content, I will leave the link below the video and you can eventually join the Patreon. Let's continue with the conversation, and yeah, I think this will be a very good one. Enjoy. Question number 5, and is the last one. And I always put this question for all guesses. Your hot take and pop, I guess we have a hot take category on the Discord. Your hot take or unpopular opinion on the hobby that basically you think most people may not agree with me on this, but I still believe in this stuff.
So yeah, all right, here it is. Let's see, hot take. As much as I love pre-modern, much as I love vintage, I think that pre-war has the most upside in the next 3 to 4 years, basically between now and the next World Cup. I think pre-war has the most upside, and primarily due to rarity and current economic situations.
Yeah. No, I would not disagree. I will also not agree, since it's not a market that I engage a lot. But I mean,
Me
pre-war
neither,
looks
to be honest. But
Oh, okay. I actually thought you are way more engaged in pre-war than.
I mean, I dip my toes. I probably dip my toes in it a little bit more than you have, I think, from what I've seen. If you've gone in at all, but
I know the basics. I know Dixie Dean, Mary, basically the ones that
Bloomer, Dixie Dean, Meredith,
Sindelar, Stanley Matthews. I know Fernando Paioteu from Portugal. Actually, crazy stats in terms of goals. People should check his stats. I was talking with Al the other day on actually maybe on the podcast, and it's crazy how many goals that guy scored. But again, it's not a market that I engage a lot. I have one card from for Paioteu, for example, nothing special.
Just got the Koenig, right?
Yeah. Because again, it's a set that I always saw people collecting, and I always thought, actually, this set looks really good.
It's undoubtedly one of the most beautiful sets ever created.
And I would say
to think it's from 1938
in
Germany, and everything that's gone on, for that card to still be in good shape is just absolutely amazing.
I would say one thing. I'm not that deep into pre-war. I know the basics, I would say. But if I go into pre-war, very likely scenario, I start collecting Koenigs, or I'm not sure about the prices to be fair. Maybe they are already very expensive, but I'm sorry, if they are still affordable, that's probably the set. Because I like to start with a set, then I start to explore, because pre-war probably is also quite complex, and there is not a lot of information, I would assume. So
it's extremely complex. Yeah. There is information, but you have to dig for it. You have to research. It's not easy, and really none of this is easy. Unless you're buying a modern product and you just buy it and you rip it, or you buy a single and it's players that and products that like, that's easy. Everything else, like, it's a guessing game for the most part, which is what makes it great and what makes it frustrating. It's everything all at once. So yeah.
No, I agree. Should be our final question.
All right, last question. All right, 10 years from now, what card is most valuable? And I just did top grades for each of these. So Zidane, 92 PSA 9, Ronaldo Volt Ball 78 PSA 10, and the Ronaldinho Campeonato PSA 10. 10 years from now, based on everything rarity, expectations of pops between now and 10 years, what do you think would be the most expensive?
That's a difficult one.
And again, I did a PSA 9 for Zidane, assuming that there's no 10s.
Yeah. All right, so I would take out the football for one reason. Again, goes into there is competition. Maybe the new sticker from Brazil can actually gain that spot from the Grail card for Ronaldo, maybe the El Mundo Deportivo. So I think it is more up to debate. Even though I put Ronaldo, I'm not sure if I put Ronaldo ahead of Zidane, to be fair, but I put Ronaldo, for example, I put Zidane and Ronaldo ahead of Ronaldinho, even though Ronaldinho is my favorite player, and I think he is a historical player also. The thing with Ronaldinho, and this is something, I know you don't collect Ronaldinho, but Ronaldinho in terms of demographics do not get much better than that, because Ronaldinho was basically Michael Jordan for soccer at one point in time, and up completely changing the game, making, at least I'm talking for myself, to be fair, but there is a lot of Ronaldinho collectors that share the same story, that you basically end up falling in love with Ronaldinho. Again, my first searches on YouTube was Ronaldinho tricks with the ball, stuff like that. So I love that aspect of Ronaldinho. I think Zidane, in terms of greatness, is ahead of Ronaldinho. Now, what will decide for me is actually rarity, and I have no idea, honestly, because I trust more on the pop for the Zidane foot than I trust on the pop for the Ronaldinho. And you're talking a guy that bought a Ronaldinho a couple of weeks ago. But I keep my same take. Brazilian stickers, I think we all should be a little bit careful, because people say, oh, the Messi or the Cristiano Ronaldo pop is too high. And there is arguments to be made on that. But those pops, in terms of being realistic, I think they are more real than certain pops that we are assuming, because especially we know that the awareness for those guys are bigger than the other players. But even in Portugal, most of my friends are aware that stickers are valuable right now. You know what I'm trying to say? And in Brazil, I was looking at my YouTube stats, and for sure I make content in English, but I had almost no views from Brazil, and I have a lot of views even from Argentina. So what's going on with Brazil? I honestly don't know. If I had to choose one, I probably go for Zidane, but I'm not sure, being real. I think the Ronaldinho could also potentially be the Grail. And Ronaldinho, similar to Zidane, only one rookie. But in the other end, I mean, this is, again, no shots fired, but I suspect that more rookies will appear for Ronaldinho at this point, because that's the trend that we've been seeing in Brazil. So he's just probably a hot take, but I suspect Ronaldinho will have more rookies soon.
Yeah. And that doesn't mean that there will be, a lot of 9s or 10s, coming from Brazil. I mean, I think, the high grades will still be monster cards, but yeah, will there be a lot of 3s and 4s coming? I think that it's a safer bet to say yes than no. Certainly, it's a huge country with a sticker culture, and it's not 1980, it's 2000. I mean, it's long ago, but it's not crazy long ago.
Yeah, again, especially if you look at the Aquarela Pelé, a lot of those are appearing on the market, and I think, okay, a 58 sticker appears a lot, but the 99, the awareness is probably stronger for Pelé already in Brazil. So I think a lot about this type of stuff. Is something that the Brazilian topic is probably the topic I think the most, because I do not understand what's going on. Since I speak Portuguese, I can interact with a lot of Brazilians. They all, because there is a lot of Brazilians living in Portugal, they all tell me that, stickers are huge in Brazil, of course. So I have a lot of mixed feelings. Then, because in Netherlands you can say, oh, but maybe the auto-destruction in Brazil is super strong. I don't know, honestly. But I would say one thing, in terms of eye appealing, I think the Ronaldinho from all of those stickers is the one that looks the worst. And the Zidane one the Ronaldo is also great, but the Zidane one, I really love the yellow. So I would go with Zidane, but it's difficult to say.
Yeah, that's I knew that one was gonna be hard, but since I mentioned most valuable and not what you would want, I had a feeling that.
But what do you think is the answer for? I guess we can expand on this one, then go to the number one.
Yeah, that's fine. I think I think it has to be the Zidane, and mostly because of rarity. I think that'll be the one that's if there's I don't see a lot of 9s of that sticker popping up. I think there's already a decent amount of 10s of the Bolt Ball. Again, he has multiple stickers, multiple rookie stickers, and the Ronaldinho, I think there's just a little bit more of an unknown on that. But my understanding is I think there's 2 10s right now on the PSA pop, and at least one of them is sort of in question of it potentially being from someone that's known to trim, and so I don't know if there's a high confidence in that. So if there was another one that came up and everything seemed to check out and it was legit, I could see that just going crazy.
And a yellow sticker will always be more difficult to grade because the others have white edges, so it's easy to miss stuff when grading, in my perspective.
The other thing on the Zidane stickers is on the back, and a lot of the foot stickers in general, on the back, there is a lot of times issues with the ink. and
Yeah.
there's some rubbing, and you'll see, and some of them will still, even some of the 8s, you'll see some of that, a little bit of black, almost looks like it's, just ink issues, and
Oh, yeah.
they'll still give it a good grade, but that's what's holding that card back from being a 9 or a 10, is because it has some ink issues. So there's the yellow, and then there's that back issue as well. So
Oh, yeah. So in the question number 1, and I will explore this question a little bit more, end up asking why you love French releases so much, and you gave your explanation. But actually, I will push you in a different direction on this one. I know you are engaged with, you engage on the Zidane market, the remarket, etc. But I know you are always paying attention to different French players. And recently, I saw you start engaging a little bit with the Benzema market. So is that a player that you feel that could be a potential player that you collect long run, or is still too soon for you?
Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised, and this is no knock on him or the market, but I wouldn't be surprised if that's the only Benzema that I own, is the Panini McDonald's one. Well, I take that back. I last week I did buy one of the 2007 foots,
Okay.
raw, $35. I sent an offer to someone for $35. It looks sharp. They
That's a great
accepted.
deal.
I'm waiting to see what I get, but per the images, it looks as nice as any of the other ones that were selling for 100, 150. So I did take a stab at one of those raw. But yeah, I mean, I think long term, he is going to stack up there as one of the great French footballers. He's gonna win the Ballon d'Or this year.
Yeah, that's a given at this point.
I mean, it would be a travesty if he didn't. And
Messi wins another one.
he has I mean, he's gonna go down as one of the all-time leading scorers at Real Madrid, one of the all-time leading scorers for the French national team, if not the both, or the top for both. And
good point. That there is a scenario on that. I mean, if Benzema plays, because it's not impossible, four seasons at Real Madrid with a good level,
it's within range.
Yes, and that's, if you think about that, that's quite huge. Top goal scorer for Real Madrid, maybe top goal scorer for France. For France, I think it's a little bit more difficult because Griezmann is also playing, and Griezmann can also is even ahead of him. But there is a lot of, and I believe he's the third on top goal scorers ever on Champions League. Another crazy stat in my perspective. Yeah. I think Benzema is the guy that we all end up sleeping a little bit. This season was incredible, of course, but Benzema has been a great player for a lot of years. But sometimes they need this push, this season that ends up winning the Ballon d'Or. And I agree with you. Benzema was not a player that I was thoughting, okay, maybe I'm on a rookie or something like that. Yeah. But there is a chance that I start collecting Benzema more deep, I would say.
Yeah, and it's less about him, and it's more about what are the options to collect him, right? It's just not my wheelhouse. The foot, is, but there's a lot of them. I mean, I think you're gonna see a ton of those graded. And that market, unfortunately, probably is going to take a hit here in the next couple months, with everything come back from PSA.
Maybe the 10 will be good.
Yeah, I think 10 will hold, but it's not a hard sticker to grade. Yeah. It's relatively centered. It's white bordered. It's not super old. There's still packs out there to buy, boxes out there to buy. So, and then, if you look forward past that, yeah, he has the 2014 World Cup Prism, issues, so the numbered, I've looked at like the blue parallel and the red parallels, I think those are nice, but not, it's just not my style really. So
the blue looks good, actually.
It looks so good. And there was actually somebody posted one, a PSA 9 for sale on the Discord for $300. I'm like, that's probably not a
Yeah,
bad buy.
it's
And it
funny
looks
because
great. It's just like my mind automatically is like, yeah, but I could buy, you know, this Raymond Copa card, which is actually rare for $300.
but
Yeah.
it's funny because I also thought the same thing. I was like, this is honestly not a bad, and the card looks. I love when the color matches the jersey, but I also think, yeah, but this money, especially in a market like this, can buy you a lot of stuff. So
Yeah, I mean,
end
if
up
I was
passing
more
that.
into the modern stuff and was buying flawless autos and things like that, then he would be a player because it matches my French collection and I think he has a chance to be an absolute legend. The next couple of years can really, I mean, he's already there, but can really cement him. They win a World Cup and he actually is on the team, huge. He wins
Yeah,
another
that's
Ballon d'Or potentially,
that
huge.
that will be crazy. I agree.
Yeah. So I
and
mean, there's
and
a lot of what ifs.
and another thing to consider, and I'm not even trying to push the Benzema market to be fair, because I also think there is other players in similar category. I think Modric is also that rookies are so difficult. Lewandowski is also on that range, so there is more options if people want to explore those pre-modern guys. But the thing with not Modric with Benzema that we have to consider is they are playing in a different era in the sense that they have millions and millions of followers on Instagram. I think they can stay more relevant uh, longer than certain legends in pre-modern, for example, like Luis Figo, which was a crazy good player, but seems like a little bit out of the scenario, if that makes sense. So I don't know, something to think about that. Again, we live in a different era that those guys are superstars almost in Instagram, even if they don't play football anymore.
I am excited. Hopefully we can figure out because I know you own one too. Hopefully we can figure out how to get the
The
McDonald's
McDonald's, yeah.
by PSA. I know somebody that submitted a research request on that and is waiting for a response back. And you just never know. It seems like nowadays, what you're going to get approved or not approved. But I mean, it's a Panini
I
sticker.
mean,
There's a
yeah.
whole album. I'd be shocked, but that'll be nice to be able to see graded. And I don't think there's going to be a ton of them, but there'll be
No, no.
there'll be there'll be more for sure. There'll be more that pop up. There's not going to be a pop five sticker or something like that. It's just not. But it'll be you know way way
Way
less
difficult, yeah.
than the 2007 foot.
I've
Um,
been tracking. I've been tracking those. I own one also, like you, and I think the person you are and is my friend. You don't. There is no problem saying his name. I think he's Will, right?
yeah,
That is the one that ended up submitting. And I don't know. I know another guy on Discord. I don't remember his name, to be fair. That actually was the guy that ended up showing me that for the first time. He paid $1. So I know about four, and I have other people trying to find that sticker, and it's not easy at all. I've been searching the eBay French market. I don't find those. I've been Le Bon Coin, more like eBay on France. I don't find those. So again, pops they only go up. There is nowhere on that. But that sticker can actually potentially have some type of strong rarity. The card, the Derby Total 2006. I think is more rare than the Panini Foot, but I don't think is that rare if you compare with the McDonald's. Because I'm not saying I can find 10 of those right now if I want, but I probably can find two or three if I really want. And the McDonald's is not the case at this point. So that's why I believe, again, only time will tell for sure, but I believe the McDonald's could be a potentially Grail, if you want to put that way, for Karim Benzema.
yeah, and I've also reached out. I've made some really nice contacts in France that I've been able to acquire some pretty rare things, but they they haven't had it either. I asked them to look for it, put it on the list of things that if you find it, I'd be willing to buy it at a certain point. And maybe it's because it's not necessarily their wheelhouse either. It's a little bit newer. They're more into the pre-modern and vintage section. So we'll see. It'll be interesting, but the 2 or 3 really good contacts that usually have virtually everything, or can find it relatively quick, didn't know it. So who knows?
And Nils,
See.
as far as I'm aware, that was on given at McDonald's Happy Meal, I believe. So that stuff is for kids. So I think it's easy to imagine a kid gets the pack, automatic pastes the sticker or something like that. So the auto destruction on that sticker is probably also quite big if you think about.
Yeah, is there an ex McDonald's employee that has a couple cases of them somewhere? When that promotion ran out, yeah, there's always that chance. But even if you have a couple cases, doesn't mean you have 200 Benzemas. You have 10, maybe.
No, yeah,
Right?
I agree.
So anyway, yeah, it'll be interesting.
No, yeah. So what was my first question?
Your first question was about the what World Cup team you would collect.
Okay.
And you decided to say the Brazilian 2002, which, I think that's, as far as legendary teams, that's a bit of a no-brainer. I mean, that's one of the most stacked, legendary teams. What's interesting, because I thought about, all right, I'm done with the French team.
Next one.
I'm going to do another one. I really love the challenge. But that, some of those Brazilian stickers
Yeah.
are extremely hard to find.
Kaká, Ronaldinho, right?
You might have some better contacts in Brazil, but I primarily grind, eBay and the different countries, eBays, and Brazil is a different animal when it comes to that. So it just seemed like that was not something that would fit my collecting and my connections and everything like that. But it'd be a great one because of the rookies that are involved in it, and it'd be expensive too.
Yeah, but to be fair, the expensive ones are also great cards. So there is also the
rookie isn't a bad thing to have
yeah.
as a collecting piece or as an investing piece. Yeah, Kaká. I mean, all the ones you named. What'd be interesting is trying to find like the Denilson and the just the random sort of good players, but their rookie sticker is a true Brazilian sticker. And it's maybe not going for a ton of money, so it's not out there as much, and it's not being sold and looked for. So yeah, it would be an interesting task.
What about Italy 2006? Because I also think it's a fun. Even Spain 2010, I think is fun. To be fair,
there's so many good ones. So I've actually I don't know. I wrote it the other day in Vintage. So I've narrowed my list of who I'm going to go next to 1982 Italy, 1990
okay.
1990 Germany, and then 2010 Spain were the three that
2010 Spain is really a great team, man. And that's Spain. I mean, actually, I was in France when the World Cup was going on South Africa, and I remember that World Cup also very well. Man, that team was incredible because it was a very Barcelona type of team, and in terms of being expensive. It depends if you really want the top Xavi, top Iniesta, those probably a little bit. But if you go for Este, for Mundi Cromo, you can find those quite cheap. And Dave Villa probably very very cheap. Casillas probably very cheap.
Yeah.
So it's a fun one, and you can complete and then try to upgrade the Iniesta, the Xavi, because I think those are the two that can get a little bit more difficult if you want to go for the best cards.
Yeah, I think that's and that team does remind me of the French team a lot because they also won the Euro as well, right?
2 euros.
Yeah, so they had like that 4 to 6 year span where they just won everything.
Dominated, yeah.
And France was the same way where when they won in 2000 and in 1998, and almost again should have won again probably in 2006. So just dominating teams for a long time. I remember Spain, they went like 40 something matches unbeaten or something. Like they just couldn't lose. Like they were that much better than everyone. And at
I,
that time,
I'm a huge fan of Barcelona, as people know, but man, Xavi and Iniesta, those guys are something else, because when those guys end up being at their prime, the dude they end up making was impossible to stop. I mean, Spain had no Messi and they still dominate everything. I'm not saying, of course, Messi was almost the shit at the top, was the guy that ended up bringing so much magic moments. And Spain on 2010 they ended up struggling a little bit, because the final versus Netherlands was not that easy. Robben ended up missing a easy goal, and I mean, it is what it is right now.
yeah.
Is history, but yeah, I mean, I love that team. I also think the 2006 is a fun one, because think about that. You have Buffon, one of the best goalkeepers. I think he's always a fun player to collect. You have Pirlo, you have Nesta, players that are great and not super expensive.
Cannavaro, right?
Cannavaro, another Ballon d'Or winner. So I don't know, just an idea. I'm not doing that stuff, but it's something that I think about. That seems a lot of fun. Yeah.
So it's funny because, we talk about, put your collector hat on, put your investor hat on. Sometimes it mixes, and it's a little bit of both. But those things for me, it's truly, just collecting. Like there's no way, I'm going to get my whole French team, graded eventually here, and there's no way that I'm selling any of them. Yeah, I might, upgrade within the Zidane or Henry or something like that. But the random, Pires, I'm not gonna, I'm not selling ever. That just is a special thing for me. So it's fun to do that. Part of me is like, man, do you have to do it right now? And I think you mentioned this before, is like there's things that you want to do, but you see better opportunity in other
Yeah.
things. So you feel like you can wait. I just have this mentality. It's almost that addictive personality that it's just like, I got this in my mind. I have to complete it. And I'm doing the same thing, so now I've done that, and I start thinking, okay, what's the next team? And I'm working on the Ballon d'Or winner list. And I'm just like so focused on that, and some of them are or a lot of them are legendary, great cards to own and will be good long-term, holds. But some of them are just like random, random guys that, Oleg Blochin, like nobody, really cares about Oleg Blochin. But for me, that was a huge card to pick up, because it's, one step closer to finishing that Ballon d'Or,
But you need to have the rookie.
Yeah.
Oh man, the one that I always think will be.
I'm making some exceptions, because like Stefano's on there. Like I'm not gonna have his.
Yeah, I was thinking about the Stefano,
Yeah, I'm not gonna
Modric.
have his true rookie. I gotta make a couple decisions on that. Because even like, everyone, there's a lot of very expensive, Van Basten. Do I?
But for example, Van Basten is very expensive. Don't get me wrong. I know he's a super expensive card, but I can see you buying one. With time. But for example, how do you find the Modric rookie? Is impossible. Actually, there is, I believe, one raw on my Discord, but the competition for that sticker will be insane, since we'll be pop one, and Croatia is not putting anything out. So
Yeah, on though Modric is a good example. There's like 5 or 6 where I basically have just conceded, hey, I'm not going to get the rookie yet. I'm going to take, I'm going to pick the next best thing, and just if the time comes where I'm able to acquire that or upgrade into that, but I can't. For me, it'll still be complete if my first Modric card is, a 2008.
yeah.
And if I stumble across an opportunity for another one, but I'm not going to kill myself, looking for that.
I have something that may help you. I do a lot of research in pre-modern, and I was looking at releases in Peru, and you are aware of Navarrete, right? It's basically Panini for South America, and there is a 2006 Panini sticker for, I'm sorry, Navarrete sticker for Modric. And
oh, really?
one sold on eBay for $700. I've been looking and looking and looking, and I don't find one because was an update on Navarrete. I'm not sure the timeline, but was an update. So even if Navarrete prints a lot of stuff, that was most likely short printed. And I tried to contact on Facebook a couple of collectors in Peru, stuff like that, and no chance I'm finding that.
But it's another option.
Yeah,
you know,
I mean, is the rookie with Croatia, and actually the rookie is 2005. That's 2006. So actually, the sticker that sold recently for 2.5K, I believe, for Modric,
that was second year, right?
Was also 2006. So and people and beautiful sticker, and people consider that the rookie. So I mean, yeah, and I think with time, honestly, Modric probably is a very specific case, but with time, even players that we think that. I think like soccer is still an explored market. I think more rookies will appear for a lot of guys. I don't think for Messi, because most likely for Messi was only in Spain. But I don't know. I think there is a scenario that, for example, it's crazy that Yashin does not have a rookie from. I mean, makes no sense. Probably there is, but we are not aware. So I don't know.
Yeah, no, I think that, yeah, you're right. There'll be something for most players that's undiscovered right now, even the legends. I mean, we're still finding, we're finding R9s, we're finding Pele's, we're finding, Cruyff's. I mean, things in the last 2 years that have been discovered is I mean, for legendary players, like it's still happening, every couple months, something major is coming out. So it's gonna be a fun task. I think I'm down to about 12 players that I don't have, and again, a few of those won't be the true rookies, but that's my current addiction. If you look at my last bunch of buys, it's mostly directed towards that.
Yeah, even Mataus, or I believe Lautaro, is the name. I'm not sure about the correct pronunciation.
Lothar Matthias, yeah.
Lothar Matthias, correct. Even his rookie is not the ones that it shows, right? There is one that is crazy rare.
There's so the ones that, and I have a couple of them. I actually bought quite a bit when I was digging into him, but he has a horizontal version, and then he has a foil version, and those are the 80-81 Fußball from Germany. But there is a 79-80 Americana version, and that's crazy rare. I think Al mentioned before that it took him like 10 years to find. Funny enough about that is I saw a couple albums on like eBay Germany this week, and they had it in there, and one was listed for like $1,000 and one was listed for like 600 because it wasn't complete, but it had that in there. And I was debating pulling the trigger, and before I did, somebody in the Discord, in the vintage Discord, wrote me, "Hey, look what I just got." So, and yeah, that would be one where I would want it to slab it, and I just don't know. Like, that's a hard decision of how rare that is to cut it out, pull it out. But yeah.
Let's move on because there is a lot of questions. This one, I guess, we can skip because we already talked a lot about this old Zidane, Ronaldo. By Zidane, old Ronaldo, Henry. Let me go to actually the other question. When I say undervalue, what is the first player that comes to your mind? You said Ronaldo, but explain a little bit more on that, because if you think about Ronaldo, I agree, first of all, but if you think about Ronaldo, I mean, it's not like that the top grades are cheap. They are already quite expensive. So you think is what mid grades that are still underappreciated? Because another thing to have in consideration is the football sticker is not as rare as the Panini Foot, for example. So is a difference is a difficult balance if that makes sense, you know.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think, well, for one, his market has declined, I think, on a relative basis more than some of the other players that are in his, I guess, range.
Okay.
Um, Now, there's a lot of reasons for that. Multiple rookie stickers, um, pops increasing more on them on his issues than other issues. Um, so it makes sense, right? But the reality is it's that plus down market in general, plus economic situation. So, it sort of has everything going against it, right? So
The El Mundo Deportivo is taking a huge beat. I mean, I was looking at the last fives. They sold for 2.5K, and I believe that card was 10K at one point. Something like that is
I mean,
insane.
I have a PSA 3 that I got last year, and I did do a trade for it, but the trade value was like 6 or 7,000, last year for a PSA 3. Now
Yeah,
it's a nice
it's
PSA 3, and as you mentioned, you know, there's a lot of people that would probably prefer a nice PSA 3 versus a PSA 5 that maybe the cut isn't as nice
yeah,
or whatever.
that's a good point. Maybe the fives versus the two versus the three is not a big gap like should be in a normal, let's say, Panini sticker. So I agree with that.
It makes it harder to comp that, and I do think in general people are buying the sticker more than the grade,
Makes
uh,
sense.
more so now than they were, in the past. Especially on bigger ticket items, people are being a little bit more choosy. They're getting more
No, I agree.
educated. There's more information out there. These auctions, golden list what they have and the discords and different places. People are sort of commenting on, hey, did you see this? Did you see this? Oh, this one looks good. This one's off center. There's a lot of
But Niels,
judging, critiquing.
the market is so crazy because I was tracking one last week on PLCC and SCCA. I'm not sure if you saw that. El Mundo Deportivo on PLCC last Sunday sold for 2.5K. And I wait, what? Last week, another one, F5 sold for 2.5K. Now an A sells for 2.5K. And by the way, on PLCC sales history, seems like it was paid. So it makes not a lot of sense. But in the other hand, I think, to be fair, SGC gives A's all the time. If the guy takes out of the slab, that will be a 4 or a 5 most likely. I mean,
Yep.
not sure, but most likely is the case because I also get a lot of plays with SGC, and I know my cards are not trimmed. It's basically if the card is not exactly in the correct measure, but Panini Control, Topps Control was not great for
Yeah. Well,
European releases.
on a hand cut, I mean,
But
it's going to be different, and that's why you see that card with sometimes thinner borders, sometimes thicker borders. So I would say, it's still a bit of a gamble because it actually could, there could be something that
honestly, they are all trimmed if you think about it.
Sure.
Because
Well, and I guess you could take it and trim it again, if you wanted to. Not my thing, but
what is crazy, Niels, is, for example, but honestly, this is a complex topic that people should debate a little bit more. Is that sticker, I would say, is not even the worst case. Think about the Pelé record. You see huge red border, you see a small one, you see just Pelé. Sometimes I think, wait, if people really want, they can make this sticker. If there is no back damage, they can make it perfect. If you think about, because they cut until
you go with the big red border. Then if that's off, then you go a little bit more. Yeah, and you can just keep on sending it to PSA if you wanted.
That's the thing that I think, and this is not only PSA, all the grading companies, they end up messing up a little bit on this. They should have a little bit more strict rules because it gets a little bit messy with this type of stuff. Okay, so why not cut? Because then you can sell Garrincha. I mean, it's a little bit over the place, and I think that this is a front that all of them can improve quite a lot. For example, I talk about this all the time, but how in the world is the Gazzetta Sportiva graded? I mean, that's an album cover. It's just insane to think about. I understand now there is so many that is better continue with this, but yeah.
Well, and again, that's one where sometimes the grade, the grade doesn't necessarily make sense between a 5 and a 3 or a 2.
I agree.
But yeah, I would just like a little bit more communication and transparency of what they're looking at. And I know it's hard to do and it's a different for each sticker potentially, but like, in soccer, I mean, you just named two pretty major stickers, the, El Mundo Deportivo and the Record, right? And those are pretty significant stickers in the soccer market. Like, give us an idea of what you're looking for. It would be nice to have access to a little bit of transparency there. Obviously, it's probably not going to happen. It's more of a um, a wish than probably something that's realistic. But it would be helpful. Like it really would.
No, yeah. Is more about make the rules a little bit clear for us. For example, we know that they grade certain stuff that we don't even know how they end up finding information. Then you have the McDonald's card that is actually Panini, and you have to send it. Gets a little bit tricky in my mind because I think, okay, come on, this is a no brain. You need to grade this stuff, but yeah, it is what it is.
Yeah.
So you said Ronaldo. I guess I can also share my answer with you. To not give you Ronaldo because I think, and in other podcasts I also said Thomas Muller. I think another player that could fit the word undervalued, and I'm not talking about the rookie specific, is Buffon, because it's something that I've been thinking a lot. I mean, goalkeepers, they are one of the most important positions in the pitch, and we end up living in an era that we saw Cristiano Ronaldo and Messi dominating everyone. But if you think about in the goalie position, we also saw that with Neuer and Buffon, but people don't. And again, I always believe in education in the market. I always believe people appreciating more other players. And when I end up entering school for the first time, Buffon was already playing. So think about that. I'm 32. It's crazy to think about. And I guess I can share this with you. Since you are doing that collector goal going for the entire team on France, I was thinking about this. You know what? I mean, I'm not blind. Of course, when I see sets like Eminence and stuff, I think they are beautiful. I mean, and I think people, even if people are very deep into vintage, come on,
Yeah.
we can see why people like that type of stuff. Other things are actually, I don't understand. One is the top scrum variation, pink bubbles. I honestly do not get. But when it comes to those almost high-end stuff, and I was thinking about this. You know what? My favorite players to collect probably will be Messi and Cristiano Ronaldo, but I don't have enough money to go for those cars. I mean, they sell for even way more than top grades on the rookies. But I was thinking, because I went to eBay and started watching, you know what? I actually can collect Buffon flawless. I can collect Buffon top scrum gold, Panini probably Prism will be more difficult. And I was thinking, you know what? I can still collect such a legendary player and have all the cool stuff basically. And I did not put anything relevant, by the way, but I'm thinking about this. I'm saying Buffon could be Neuer, could be Thomas Muller, for example. I don't know, just a random thought.
It's crossed my mind too. Again, not my space, but yeah, there's something about, for one, an on-card auto, right? And I think that as much as I don't follow that market, it makes sense because going forward, I think you're going to see those less and less and less. And the soccer market up until now just hasn't had a ton of products. So I mean, there's not a lot out there. Um, and I think, yeah, I was listening to someone the other day, and they're a huge Netherlands fan, and Van Basten, right? I can't afford a nice rookie, that cost 10 or 20,000, but I can afford a really nice on-card flawless for $1,000 or 1,500 or 2,000 or whatever. And like
Yeah.
that's more special to me because he touched it. That's a piece of him in a way because he actually, autographed this auto versus, this sticker that I can't afford or find in some cases. So I think there's a case to be made um, for those in either of those circumstances. One, if it's in an alternative to a rookie that you can't afford, or two, just a player that you want to collect like a Buffon, somebody sort of, not super high end, in the hobby that you just want a nice modern card. I think that's a cool thing to consider.
No, that's a good point, and I believe we already talked about this on Instagram a couple of maybe more months ago. I don't know. That I remember we ended up talking about this. For example, a player like, and I guess I'll go back to Modric, that the hook is so difficult to find, at least in my mind, since I still want to collect Modric. The first top scroll makes more sense for Modric for me, because I can see, okay, not a rookie, but he's one of the most important cards and is actually with Real Madrid. I own the Panini Treble Gold for Modric, and I love that card. I mean, if, of course, he's not my market ultra modern, but I still love because he's with Real Madrid, and I think he's an amazing piece to own if you end up watching Modric and enjoying his game. So it's actually interesting. And Buffon, Neuer is the guys that I'm thinking more because, I mean, I like to collect goats, and I consider those guys goats not in the macro perspective of the game, but in their position, they are the best. And look, think about this. When Ronaldo, the Brazilian one, started playing, I believe they are 1 year apart, Buffon and Ronaldo, and Buffon is still playing on Italy. So it's crazy how long this. And I read an article that Buffon thinks he will play until 36. So I believe at least 2 or 3 more seasons. Crazy.
That's insane, but I mean, there's no doubt. I mean, he's still in good enough form to do it. Just as long as he wants to. Basically, I think he can play for sure another few more years.
It's actually fun because on the vintage, not the vintage, on the best 11 on the Discord, the the one that ended up being very competitive was Neuer and Buffon. At one point, Neuer was the choice for the Discord, but right now is Buffon. Um, and I also go back and forth because I think that at the end of Neuer career, maybe will be Neuer because Neuer probably will play 4 or 5 seasons at top level.
Yep.
Imagine if he wins another World Cup, which will be difficult, of course, but who knows?
You never know. It's gonna be interesting. There's legends will be made and cemented this World Cup as any World Cup, but we've talked about that too. There's a lot of narratives that can change for a lot of players, so it's
Nils,
gonna be exciting.
crazy thing. Cristiano Ronaldo and Messi put apart.
Yeah.
But even Neymar, if you want to buy shiny stuff for Neymar, is not that expensive as you may think. I mean, he's probably more expensive than Buffon, but
Yeah.
but he's still in range that you can make some type of logic. Okay, actually, this is not that much as if you compare with the other two guys. So, and if Neymar wins, Neymar will go automatic be, in my perspective, the third most important player of this generation. So
Well, that's a good example because look at what I was saying earlier. Look at his actual rookies, right? There's the questionable ones. There's his goal, which is
a Grail
relatively
goal.
clear, but then you're in the same situation where it's a Brazilian sticker. How many more are gonna come out? So you have that question, and they're expensive, right?
Yeah.
So you take all that into play on the rookie, and you're like, oh wait, maybe this, maybe I'm going to hold off. But at the same time, for $500, $1,000, I can get this nice, shiny, rare, or an auto or something of that nature. So I honestly, I have one Neymar, and it's a 2018 Prism green crystal. out of
Oh,
25, and it's
25, right?
yeah, and it's beautiful.
That
Like
that I love that parallel with
it's
the
my favorite
crystals, right?
parallel, I guess, outside of gold, but it's beautiful. It's like the cracked ice look, and the green, sort of matches with goes well with the Brazilian kit, and it just
Beautiful
it
card.
that's the one card I have, and you know anyway, we'll see what happens. He has a lot to gain this World Cup for sure.
The other card that you actually showed me on Discord, and not related to this topic, to be fair, you showed me a Lukaku red, and that card, I don't know, I keep thinking about that card because it's not even a play that I want to collect, but the red looks really nice with the jersey. Again,
So,
it's about color match, and especially that is a very difficult. I believe it's out of 5, right?
10.
Out
Yeah.
of 10, still whatever. It's
It-
completely
it's
crazy.
Yeah, and that is one of the better looking cards that I have. Like it is just so clean. It's a PSA 10, or not PSA, it's SGC 10. It's just clean as clean can be. And
Did you saw? I remember a couple of months ago I saw someone posting a Salah red.
oh yeah,
Oh man, that was
unbelievable card. They just, I mean, again, it's not my thing, but and I had collected Lukaku, and I have a couple rookies, and again, he was a little bit more in form during the time when I was starting to collect them, but it went back to rarity. Was one of the primary reasons, and I think that still held
no, they are really difficult to find.
But as far as the newer stuff, I hadn't really touched it too much. But somebody sent me that link, and they knew I had a decent amount of Lukaku's, and I'm like, I got to, like, I have to get it. And it
No,
was
looks
it was
insane.
probably during the worst time. For he was literally benched at Chelsea when this was going on, and he had nothing going for him. So I think I got an all right deal on it.
But even the picture for Lukaku is great because he's like celebrating, right? It's a beautiful card.
Yeah,
I really like it.
That really just made me love those red chromes, and it's one of those that I would love to have a couple more, but I mean they're impossible to find, and especially
I bet that there is a lot of competition for that.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
all right. Next question for you. Let's see. And we talked about this, and we can dive in a little bit more, but the 20K to buy one card. And you said that you would make an offer on
For American, yeah.
the Pele Americana. And I'm with you, and I liked your reasoning as far as you it being a Brazilian sticker, it being more rare. The Alifa, it really gets, I think what really helped it become the sticker in the hobby is the high grades.
Yeah,
And
correct.
you have the ability to get an 8 or a 9. There's still some pretty high grades that are being found raw and being graded.
And
It's not, it's not, yeah,
trades a lot, right?
trades a lot. It trades a lot. There's just enough of them where it trades enough, but it's still rare, right?
And Nils, just one thing, and you can continue. I think the reason Pelé is so ahead of Maradona is actually because of that. Because I feel like the Maradona stuff, for example, there is a lot of, not a lot, they are still very rare, the discs, but a lot of them are 1s and 2s. And on the leaf, you have 5, 6, and you understand almost there is some type of ladder effect. You keep going, and you understand it. Okay, I need to pay more for this and for that and for that. So I think it's actually an interesting point. I think Maradona suffers a little bit of that because Maradona is also a god that seems far from Pelé when in the soccer world. I don't think it is, but is a great point.
Yeah, but in the Americana, you're not going to get a lot of 6s, 7s, 8s, 9s of that sticker being graded ever. I do not. I don't know that pop well. I know it's low, and
Very low.
I know there's not a lot of high grades. But going forward, I mean, you're just not gonna you're not going to get the high grades in that sticker. So the market, although they appreciate the rarity, it's a great image. It outsells, PSA 1 compared to a PSA 1 of the Letha, it outsells, right now. And I think that will continue, and if not increase going forward, but it's just not gonna, I don't think it'll ever really replace it, because it's not gonna have that $1 million sale, because there's no PSA 8, PSA 9, etc. I think.
Okay, but let's make things a little bit more fun. So in vintage, I guess we kind of agree with American, but in vintage there is a lot of stuff that I would be happy to buy with 20K. For example, even on the Maradona market, I think 20K can find you something special. I know one card that I love is the Liberty Stampa 78, and a PSA. I believe there is a PSA 6. I don't know, maybe it's more than 20K, I don't know. But if that was in range, basically would be a card that I would love to own. But there is a lot of stuff, in Cruyff, there is so many. But in pre-modern,
about a true Eusebio rookie, 1961, one of the Portuguese stickers.
Oh man, I probably should say yes.
Is that up there on your list? I mean,
is not. I'm gonna. It's crazy because I'm a Benfica supporter.
Right. Yeah.
But I don't know. I just think Cristiano Ronaldo is so much better than Eusebio. Because look, when I was growing up, Eusebio was the man. I mean, everyone. But even right now in Portugal, well, come on, there is no debate. Look what Cristiano Ronaldo did, and I understand the history, what ended up representing even for my club. But maybe I'm not super patriotic, if that makes sense. I would prefer collect Cruyff Eusebio, and some people may not understand why, but I just think Cruyff was, in terms of greatness, ahead of Eusebio. So for me, that's the most important thing.
Yeah, no, I get it.
But in pre-modern, there is something around 20K that you'd consider. I guess the PSA 9 Zinedine Zidane, if another appears.
Yeah. What else? I'd probably, if it wasn't that, I'd go with the 71 Biz Messi PSA. If I could get a PSA 9, I think the last one went for like in the 24K range. If I could get a PSA 9 for
it will be difficult, but it's possible.
Yeah, that would be the move. So funny enough, I have no Messis and no Ronaldos currently, rookies, not any grades, and it's not necessarily because I don't like them. It's just because I sort of went other places. With that being said, that's on my mind, because I think it's pretty clear that if the time's not now to get in that market, I think we probably got maybe a couple months, maybe a year, in the next short term.
One question:
time's to grab them.
Do you prefer the sticker for Ronaldo or the card? Because let me say one thing. I'm working a video on that.
Yeah,
I think both stickers are the best play for both, because I understand there is all the controversy around, and that of course also. I mean, and all the stickers, we all should be afraid, because the next one could be a Zidane, could be Henry, who knows?
Yeah.
But I think PSA, and this is a huge shout out to PSA, honestly, have been doing a very good job. So in my perspective, if you buy a Cristiano Ronaldo in a PSA slab, a Messi as the sticker in a PSA slab, I think you are fine, basically. I know PSA graded, I believe, 1 or 2 Ronaldo fakes, but come on, if you compare with BGS graded 100. So
PSA, I think, or at least we in the
suspect, basically,
that PSA let a Messi go through as well that's questionable, and that's going to happen. Like I said, if one or two, like they can't be perfect. We understand that. But honestly, to answer your question, I like the cards better. I think the better buy is the stickers.
Because I could be wrong, because they are a little bit more iconic to the eye, right?
It's
you see so many people posting them,
and rare, and I think more than likely more rare. And for me,
the stickers, right?
The stickers are more rare than the cards. I like the card. I like a physical card. I like they're both action shots, but I do like the looks of both of those cards. I think they're iconic, but the better buy for me right now is the stickers. So personally, what I am looking for is to get into a PSA of the Este Messi and the PSA of the Ronaldo sticker at some point. Now that might be next week, it might be a year from now. I mean, I'm not trying to time the bottom. I don't think that there's a huge hurry to jump in that right now. I think it's a fine
one thing that I would share with you is, especially on the Cristiano Ronaldo market, is a market that I would say I know very well, since I track the Portuguese websites, etc. And I know collectors in Portugal that they basically hunt for Cristiano Ronaldo cards. And I was talking with a couple of them, and all of them share the same story. For, I don't know, 4 or 5 mega cracks, they find one sticker. And I always had that idea also, I always thought, the thing is, I know the production for the sticker was bigger than the production for the card. And I also remember thinking, okay, maybe I need to be careful with the sticker because of that. But the auto-destruction in stickers is strong. I have no doubt about this, because it's similar to Este. For example, Ediciones Este was the most popular brand in Spain in 2004. So the Este sticker ended up being the one with the bigger production. But the auto-destruction is so big that, look, people, and this is something that sometimes I think people talk without knowing, that, there is a lot of Messi rookies. Actually, the pop reports for Messi is quite low for the ST sticker. Not, for example, I agree with the Campeón, there is a lot of those. But the ST sticker is below 200. And if you think about that, I mean, it's probably the player with the biggest, in terms of awareness. For Cristiano Ronaldo, I believe is a little bit over 100. So, I mean, we are not talking about, and if you even believe there is a couple of fakes there, maybe even less. So I don't know, just some thoughts.
I'm with you. I think it's quite a bit rare. And I'm if there's one thing about me, and I've said it once, I'll say it 1,000 more times, is rarity above all for me is what I gravitate towards. So the people I talk to, and just my eyes and my spidey sense is telling me the sticker is much more rare. So that's what I'll be getting when I dive into that market. But yeah, currently don't have any Messi or Ronaldo, which I tell that to people sometimes, and like, really, like, you got all this other stuff? Like, it wasn't the right time. I did have a couple of the Campeón Messis, and I sold them almost at the peak, and did really well on those. So
it's amazing.
But yeah, I mean, lucky or not, just felt like the right time to move them. And they weren't high grades; they were 7. So I just seemed right.
Okay, so since we end up talking about the question number 5, this will be the last one for you. I said you have a beautiful collection, and congrats on that. I'm sure you probably own a lot of grails that when you started, you really end up hunting for. But one card is missing in your collection. You said Zinedine Zidane PSA 9. I understand why, to be fair, and I guess you already explained that. But share with me and with my viewers, what will be your technique, if that makes sense, to actually raise money to acquire that card? Because I remember at one point, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, you have a PSA 2 Zidane, then you have a PSA 5. Now I believe you have a PSA 6. I'm correct on this, right?
Yeah.
So you are always upgrading, and I think that's great.
Yeah. I mean, my method is, I don't have unlimited funds funds for this. As I mentioned, I got two young kids at home, and so that's a priority, obviously. So I sort of work with my inventory for the most part, and obviously it's not completely self-funded. I still put a good amount of cash in, but for bigger things that I'm looking to acquire, I definitely will sell things or multiple things to get there. Sometimes I do it before in preparation. Sometimes I scramble and do it after, but I always have in my mind, hey, I can move this to get this. But yeah, like the Zidane, originally I actually had a PSA 1 and a PSA 2.5.
Oh yeah.
And then I bought the PSA 5 on PWCC, which ironically was probably about the all-time high for that card. So you win some, you lose some on that. But my plan was sell the two low grades at current market prices that would almost fund what I paid for that card. What I ended up finding is the lower grade stuff isn't super easy to sell. Especially the PSA 1 was a clean back PSA 1. It just had a couple creases, but it was a clean back PSA 1. But people are wanting to pay as if it was removed. So that was a bit of a challenge and something
But
that I learned.
how much did you get for that?
I actually did end up eventually, but it wasn't as fast. I ended up getting I think 1,200 for it at that time,
Hmm.
which was a solid sale. But it took me. I thought I'd be able to sell it for a little bit more than that within a couple weeks, and it ended up taking me a couple months to get.
But was best offer or something like that?
Yeah, I listed it for higher and accepted.
So actually, a funny story, because I had a BGS2 that I sold recently, and I remember putting on Discord and on Instagram that I was taking 1.5k, but I was like, okay, maybe I take 1k. It was I started 1.5k to negotiate a little bit until 1k, and I even ended up offering that a couple of people, and I was not successful to sell the card. I sent to PLCC. I got 1.2k. So I was like, this is crazy. I mean, sometimes if the person knew me, I would make a discount. So
Yeah.
in a market like this, sometimes auctions, they are risky, of course, but I feel like sometimes it is the best option. That
Yeah.
Zidane was a good example.
Yeah, and yeah, I've never sold. Well, I've sold a couple things on my own personal eBay at auction, and it didn't it didn't really go that well. So I've stayed away from that. Everything else I've sold, buy it now, either on eBay or through the Discord at a fixed price. And I'm really considering sending a few things to PWCC just because.
Pretty modern. That's very well there
Just
from
not
personal
getting
experience.
a ton of interest, and obviously, I think there's a lot of factors, and maybe I'm priced too high, maybe, just I think cash is low right now. There's a lot of
Nils,
people that
and
are card
another
rich, they're card rich and they're cash poor, and that's what we're seeing, and the people. What I found was those lower graded, the people who have the money are interested in buying are interested in buying the lower grade ones. So I've sort of switched my methods a little bit and try to stick to mid grade or a little bit higher. Since then, I did the same thing with Platinis. I had a couple PSA 2s, PSA 3s, and decided to move on from them and into some 5s and 6s. So I'm always selling. I'm always thinking of the next move. I watched your video the other day about your goals from last year, and you mentioned about like selling your duplicates, and I do the same thing. I mean, there's cards that I really know, and I'll continue to buy them if I think it's a good price.
Yeah.
I feel comfortable in those markets, and then I'll use those to upgrade. So I mean, I had 2 or 3
Is
Zidans
is
at a
is
time.
what
I
I
have
do.
2 or 3 Platinis at a time. I have, 2 or 3 Cruyff Vanderhoots, cars like that. And then I sort of keep the best one and then move on. I'm not someone who, for a collection, needs to necessarily have 20 of a certain card. 1 or 2, I think, is more than enough. Now, if you believe in it long term, and maybe that's more of an investment piece, then I might hold on to something a little longer. But yeah, it's always moving. It's grinding. It's selling. There's a lot of people who are more a bit hoarders, or true collectors, where they're not interested in selling. I hate selling some things, but
Yeah.
sort of a necessary means to get what I want. And I keep all the money, more or less all the money in the hobby when I do sell something. I mean, every now and then I'll get the wife pro tip, buy the wife something every now and then, or
A nice gift.
pay for something for the family, and keep everyone happy with some of the card sales. But besides that, I keep it all in the hobby. I just reinvest and try to upgrade and move on
No,
to the next.
I'm very similar on that. And I don't like duplicates that much. It's something that I've been realizing. Yeah, sometimes is nice because I think, oh, this is a great card and I have multiples. But long run, my ultimate goal almost will be to have not all, but you get the point. All the important cards for me, but one piece for me is more than enough. For example, I got recently another Maradona 77, but I will move on eventually one day. I've been getting into the Maradona market heavy because I think Maradona is actually quite undervalued. And I love Libra de Estampas is one of my favorite cards for Maradona. But in the future, I will keep just the one that I think have the best eye appealing. And I buy, I don't know, maybe a Pelé rookie, maybe Van Basten. I have no idea.
Yeah.
So,
But hey, to answer your question, on actually what moves I was looking at doing to prepare myself for a PSA 9, is I was working on selling my Cruyff Palarex PSA 3, and then both of my Zidans, the 5 and 6.
ooh, but
So
selling the Cruyff, why?
it's well,
Are you scared of the pop report? Being honest.
no, it has nothing to do with that card. It's just, when I look at, it's one of my biggest ticket items. So hey, if I need $25,000, how do I get there the fastest and with the least amount of work? Not necessarily because I'm lazy and I don't want to put it in, but how can I build up those funds, that dry powder, as fast as possible? 3 cards roughly could get me pretty close to there, and then I put in the cash for the rest. So love the card, love
can I
it
be
long.
honest?
I'd
As
cry, but
as
like the Don means so much more to me than the Cruyff, just
but
personally.
as an investor, I think that's smart. And to be fair, it's always smart to go to the top grade. And if you really want to, nothing is safe, but those items they tend to be a little bit more safe. But as a collector, I would much prefer to have a PSA 6 Zidane and a Cruyff PSA 3 as a collector, because just but honestly, and I really believe in this. I think the smart play is probably what you are thinking about. Sometimes I also think about this: what if I sell? I don't know, all my Cristiano Ronaldo rookies, all Messi rookies, and try to buy 1 or 2 just in a BGS 9.5, for example. And but then I have a lot of conflicts because I think, yeah, but I also enjoy to have all of what I'm trying to say is,
Well,
I'm not
my
sure
thought
if
process on the Cruyff exactly is a 3. That sticker is primarily found stuck, so a 3 provides it a bit of a premium. But for me, visually, outside of knowing that it's unstuck, could I settle? Could I live with a nice looking 1 that has a little bit of paper loss? That I could buy back in a couple months when something comes up and it'll cost me 2, 3, $4,000, something like that. Like I can get that back.
Did you saw the last PSA one on PLCC?
Yeah.
It was a great one in my opinion.
Really, look amazing.
Yeah.
Somebody in the Discord bought it, and it's a great looking one.
Actually, funny story. I was going for the Maradona 77 and for the Cruyff, and both ended up selling around the same price. And at the end, I made the push for the Maradona disc, and actually goes into our conversation because it's the only 77. Cruyff have more competition, but I was not sure. I also think the person that got the Polydex made I blew my mind that was a one. I was looking and it looks amazing. And that's another thing. I don't get the difference between a one or a two a lot of times. I think that's those two grades is where I think there is a lot of randomness, because I think why is the one makes no sense, honestly.
I've always said that's my personal biggest issue, because I play in that, especially in the vintage. I play in the ones and twos market quite a bit, and yeah, it's just, there's no rhyme or reason, and there can be pretty big price increases on a two rather than a one, which again doesn't really make a whole lot of sense, but
yeah,
that's just the reality of the market. It does bring in more money, but that's it was a tough decision, but that's in my mind. And I already talked to people like, hey, would you buy this? Would you buy, like almost have it lined up where if that scenario came, I have a couple people that are interested. And that was my thought process, is that I could get a nice one potentially of the Polarex, and I would just live with that.
There is a BVG 3 Polydex also on PLCC right now, and looks much worse than the PSA one. I mean, corners are completely not destroyed, but the PSA one was actually was a good copy for you if you went to live, because you could keep that one and will be also such a beautiful copy that.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that's sort of the way that I think of it when those opportunities come, is what do I have? What can I part with? And to get things that you really want, you have to part with things that you really don't want to get rid of. The reality of it.
So what was the last question for me? And we are done after that.
Yeah. All right, let's talk about this one a little bit. And we did talk about it quite a bit, but maybe we'll just transition into like alternative rookies. So we talked about the Russian Henry. We've talked about the El Mundo Deportivo R9. We've even talked about the McDonald's 2006-7 Benzema. So those type of cards, what's your take long term on sort of the alternative rookie market, and just sort of not that primarily known rookie?
I think honestly, there is a lot of opportunity on that side, and it's something that I've been realizing more and more and more and more. Because, look, I own, actually, I think I own all the Benzema rookies, but the WCF, I believe I have a couple of raw there. But the McDonald's is the most special one. That's the reality. I mean, and feels good that. Again, the grade will be relevant, but I don't need to care that much about the grade as I need, for example, if I grade a WCF card. Another interesting thing that I'm not sure if you are aware, Nils, is there is a WCF English, which is quite difficult to find also. So even if you want to go even more deep into the Benzema market, there is also another rookie that could be quite difficult to find. Actually, I know a guy that owns one, and he's always grinding for those, and he's saying it's impossible to find. Was, I believe, a release in Italy, something like that. So yeah, a little bit out of the contest, but I've been looking more and more into that type of stuff, and especially because it's a lot of fun, because when you find something unique, I shared this in the last podcast, but I think it's relevant again. Buffon, for example, the Panini Calciatore is very easy to find, right? The 95, but there is a Japanese version, and that one is not that easy to find. So I'm on that grind, trying to explore more stuff like that. I was thinking the other day about David Beckham, and I was thinking, man, I really like David Beckham as a player, but this rookie material is not that great. But then I start to look, I believe Shred is right, the ones with the different back for Merlin. That stuff is crazy difficult to find. I don't have one, by the way, and I'm looking for one, but I don't find one. But that seems actually something so interesting to look. Look, 1 year ago, 2 years ago, if you think about the Messi, not the Messi market, I'm sorry, the Iniesta market was all about Mundi Cromo. Then people start realizing, yes, Superliga das Estrelas is much more difficult to find. And that was the alternative rookie. And I guess maybe still the alternative rookie since the Mundi Cromo is more popular. But that's the holy grail for Iniesta. So, I think there is a lot of opportunity there. And I know you love that type of stuff also, because I even know you have a nice Zlatan Ibrahimovic. I also have one. Mine is PSA. I'm not sure when I will get that back. But yeah, I mean, I think there is a lot of opportunity.
Yeah, and the great thing is when you buy those type of things because you just think they're cool and different and not necessarily, with value in mind. And I don't know necessarily when you bought the Zlatan, but like when I bought my Zlatan,
What was $20, but
yeah, exactly. Like when I saw the two, oh well, shoot, I've had 3 of the Russian Thierry Henrys. I think the most I paid for one was $40, right?
Crazy.
So I found them. They were cheap. I thought they were cool. I didn't know if PSA was going to grade them. Didn't care. I thought they were cool. And that's happened to me a lot of times where like not worrying if they're going to be graded, not worrying if they're going to be popular, if anyone's going to think they're cool or not, or they're going to be worth anything. Like just buy them because I liked them and it fit my collecting style and they were a little bit different. Those have been some of the best purchases I've bought, not only because they, some of them have turned into be, valuable and rare, like, I might have thought and hoped, but also it's like, I went with my gut, right? Like sometimes you just gotta, hey, that's cool. I'm just going to get it. And if it works out, it works out. So, yeah, the FIFA stickers, the McDonald's Benzema, that type of stuff is cool. And even going back,
you should look into the calciatore Japanese, because I think that's the type of stuff you probably will also enjoy.
I have some of the French stickers like the Zidane from the cheese company, and
la vache querida, something like that.
Exactly. Like, and they even have from the '80s. They have Maradona, stickers from that company, and just like random stuff like that. The Figo that's from the yogurt company. Yeah, it's Panini, but it's still something different. It's cool. Like that kind of stuff just really brings out it's just fun, and that's what this is supposed to be all about, right? Is having fun, and sometimes that works out to being valuable, but I love it, man.
There's another card that is beautiful. You probably are aware of that card. Is a 82 card from France, Lavache Kerry, Maradona and Platini together in a card. Yeah. That card is beautiful.
I don't have it.
I don't have it also, but
I want it. It's out there.
It's expensive. That's the problem.
It's expensive, and I just haven't pulled the trigger. And there's a lot of great players in that set. There's one that has Kevin Keegan, and Karl-Heinz Rummenigge, and so it's a dual card. They have 6 Ballon d'Ors together.
No, I believe that there is also a Zico and
Rossi, I think.
Yeah, there is a lot of great stuff on that set.
That stuff, and yeah, the Maradona is expensive, but the other ones are
the other ones are cheap.
$30. And the further you go back, there's a lot of fun stickers like that. Did you see the Pele with the Disney character on it at PWCC that went for like
that super cool sticker? I'm not sure if that was the correct price, but is a fun one.
Yeah, I mean, that seemed high for me.
Yeah, it seems a little bit high.
I remember seeing Matt comment afterwards that he had, one or two at PSA, and he's like, "No, I'll get hammered with it over, upcharged now." But yeah, that kind of stuff is just fun. Like when he bought it, he didn't buy it because he thought it was going to be a 5K sticker. He bought it because it was sort of cool and different, and maybe he had an idea that it was, a little bit rarer. But I love that type of stuff. And I know you don't dabble in pre-war, but it's a lot of the different. They have a ton of different variations. You have the same card with 10 different. Koenigs have like 10 different back variations. Like that stuff is so cool to me, and it just creates another level of collecting.
Is almost is not a numbered card, but is a parallel if you think about it. It almost creates.
I've heard Al call it the old school rainbow.
Okay.
Where you have to get every version of it, and even in like 1990 Panini World Cup stickers, there's 10, 12 different versions. I saw one that has Coca-Cola, one that has Kellogg's, one that has the Italian version, the Brazilian version. The fronts are all pretty much the same, but the backs are all different. And yeah, that stuff is just, for me, that's what it's all about. And I really try to mix in what I buy, of having some of that stuff that I just buy because I think it's cool, and some things that I buy because I think that it's gonna do well in the market long term. So yeah, it's probably my favorite part of the hobby, is just finding that cool stuff.
No, yeah, for sure. I mean, I also love that type of stuff. Something that I've been grinding a little bit more lately. I've been finding some cool stuff. That Modric, for example, I did not find, but I find the info, which is the first step to find the card. And yeah, I've been grinding those type of markets a lot. And again, I know you said that there's a collector, but even if people invest on those cards that are, look, sometimes you will be the first one putting those cards on the market, and we know there is most of the time at least a premium if you are the first creating that. So I think it's for sure an interesting place to be in if you know what you are doing. Of course, for sure there is random cards for random players, that who cares. But I mean, Benzema is a very important player. Zlatan is an important player, so of course it makes sense to find rare stuff for those guys.
And those ones were really no-brainers because it's made by Panini. That gives it that extra stamp of approval and a little bit more confidence that it could potentially get graded. But yeah, I mean those are good combos, right? If you got a name brand, a major player, and then also it's a Panini sticker that's rare. I mean, you can't get much better than that, in my opinion. So it'll be exciting to see, how rare some of the stuff is, how many, come up, and then what's, if they end up being traded and sold, and what that market looks like. But, for me, that's the kind of stuff I like to hold on to. So I don't think I'll be the one, testing it too much, but
yeah, I'm not selling my Benzema unless I find another, of course, but I only have one. So, and I will sell a couple of my foods. I'd say I'm more okay letting it go. But yeah, I'm not selling that Benzema because I know there is a chance I may not find one. So, or at least I have to pay a bigger premium in the future. So yeah, Nils, thank you so much. I think is everything. I really enjoyed the conversation. It was another long one. You and Andres end up breaking the records, 2 hours.
We both like to talk. We both like to hear ourselves talk, and we both have plenty to say, plenty of opinions on the hobby. So
I need to make a podcast with Andres and you also. That will be also fun. So yeah, I mean, any final words that you'd love to share before I close basically the podcast?
No, I'm all good. I appreciate you being on. I really enjoy our conversations. We've had some some debates in the past. We've had, great conversations, but you provide a platform for, people to have those conversations and to learn. And ultimately that's my goal, is to help, educate the best I can, just like people have done for me. So, if anyone ever has any questions, feel free to reach out. I'm usually as active as I can be on the Discords and IG. But yeah, just really hope to help grow this hobby. I love where it's going. I think we're in for probably a rough next year or so. But long term, I just really am excited to see where this goes for the hobby in general, for my collection, for all the people that I've become close with to watch their collections as well. I think it's just exciting time. So again, thank you.
No, my
really
pleasure.
Had a blast. Never a bad way to start your day than having a nice long soccer card conversation. So thanks.
No, for sure. Again, thank you again so much for coming to the podcast. I will leave all the links to your social media below the video. Even on the screen, people will see your Instagram, and I strongly recommend people to follow you, to interact with you, because they can learn a lot from you. I know you are very engaged in the market, and with that knowledge is a given in my perspective. So thank you so much again. Guys, don't forget to leave a like, and see you guys in the next podcast. Bye.